The Indiana Fever have reached a turning point that few could have predicted at the start of the season. What began as optimism surrounding Caitlin Clark's arrival has now evolved into a seismic power shift within the franchise. The announcement that head coach Stephanie White is stepping down, or being pushed out depending on who you ask, has sent shockwaves through the WNBA. But it's not the exit that's making headlines. It's the rumored replacement, the legendary Cheryl Miller, a name that echoes through basketball history, carrying the weight of both legacy and revolution. The woman who once redefined women's basketball might now return to guide its most talked about player. And the implications reach far beyond Indiana. For months, tension had quietly simmered beneath the Fever's surface. On paper, everything looked fine, a young, talented team anchored by a generational star. But behind closed doors, friction was building. Stephanie White, a disciplined, detail-oriented coach, struggled to adapt to the modern flair and autonomy that Caitlin Clark brought with her. What Clark represented wasn't just a rookie learning the ropes. She was the face of a movement, a ratings juggernaut, and the kind of once-in-a-lifetime talent that transforms entire leagues. White's old-school approach began to feel out of sync with the momentum Clark carried. Their relationship, while professional, became strained. Insiders whispered about arguments during practice, disagreements about play calling, and philosophical clashes on how to run the offense. It wasn't toxic, but it was unsustainable. Things came to a head after one particularly heated exchange during practice. White, frustrated by turnovers and lack of defensive focus, reminded Clark she wasn't at Iowa anymore. The comment spread like wildfire. Teammates took sides. Some admired White's authority, believing discipline would forge champions. Others saw Clark's instinct and flair as the very thing that made her special. The locker room split. What was once a team became two factions, one loyal to their coach, the other drawn to the gravitational pull of their superstar. The Fever's chemistry suffered, and even victories started to feel hollow. Every timeout became a test of ego, every post-game interview a subtle power play. It was no longer about basketball, it was about control. Team owner Steve Simon watched the situation unfold with growing frustration. He had invested everything into this franchise's rebirth. The Fever weren't supposed to be a headline for dysfunction. They were supposed to be the model for the WNBA's future. Clark's arrival had reignited fan interest, boosted merchandise sales, and drawn millions of new eyes to the league. She wasn't just a player. She was a brand. And with that came pressure. Sponsors, media networks, and executives all wanted the Fever to deliver not just wins, but a spectacle. When word reached Simon that the locker room was divided, he acted swiftly. Multiple emergency meetings were held. White's leadership was questioned. Reports say she was given an opportunity to resign rather than be publicly dismissed. And just like that, the Stephanie White era quietly ended, not with scandal, but with inevitability. Then came the bombshell. Cheryl Miller. For fans of women's basketball, her name isn't just legendary, it's sacred. A Naismith Hall of Famer, Olympic gold medalist, and trailblazer who changed the game forever. Her energy, her presence, her legacy, they command respect from every corner of the sport. When rumors surfaced that Steve Simon personally reached out to her, the reaction was instant. The internet erupted. Could it really happen? Could Cheryl Miller return to coaching, and not just anywhere, but in Indiana, the same state where her brother Reggie built his own empire? It was storybook perfection, a brother and sister legacy spanning both the Pacers and the Fever. Indiana basketball royalty reunited under one roof. Reports say Miller didn't hesitate to make her stance clear. She told executives she wouldn't come back to babysit a star or play politics. If she was returning, it would be to build a champion. That mindset is exactly what the Fever have been missing. Her style is unapologetic, tough, demanding, and rooted in excellence. She holds players accountable regardless of status. And in Caitlin Clark, she sees something familiar. The same fire, confidence, and defiance that defined her own career. For Clark, this partnership could be transformational. She grew up watching Miller's highlights, admiring how she owned the court and refused to conform. To now have the chance to learn under her guidance feels poetic, like the torch of greatness passing from one era to the next. Still, not everyone in the locker room is thrilled. Some veterans, loyal to Stephanie White, feel blindsided by how quickly things changed. For them, this feels like Clark's team now, and that realization stings. The dynamic of power within the Fever has shifted dramatically. The balance between leadership and celebrity has tilted toward the latter, and it's on Cheryl Miller to restore equilibrium. Her task won't just be to coach, it'll be to unite, to bridge the generational gap between old-school loyalty and modern stardom. But if anyone can do it, it's her. She commands respect simply by walking into the room. The league itself is buzzing. The WNBA has been searching for iconic narratives, and this one feels straight out of a movie. The pioneer returns to guide the prodigy. The Miller name resurfaces in Indiana. The Fever, once overlooked, suddenly become must-watch television. Networks are already planning feature stories. Sponsors are ready to capitalize. Even Reggie Miller has joined the excitement, teasing fans with cryptic messages online. It's the kind of storyline that transcends sports. It's legacy meeting destiny. Of course, with high expectations come high risks. Cheryl Miller's personality is as fiery as Caitlin Clark's. If their energies align, Indiana could become unstoppable, a disciplined yet explosive team built on mutual respect and competitive fire. But if egos clash, it could unravel just as quickly. Every interaction will be analyzed, every expression scrutinized. The cameras will never stop rolling. The media will turn every sideline conversation into a narrative. For the Fever, it's greatness or chaos, no in between. Yet, for all the speculation, there's an undeniable excitement in the air. This isn't just a coaching change, it's a declaration. The Fever are done being the WNBA's project team. They're done being underestimated. They want to dominate, to build a dynasty worthy of their potential. Cheryl Miller's arrival symbolizes that ambition. Her experience, her toughness, her relentless pursuit of perfection, all of it sets the tone for what comes next. She'll push Clark harder than anyone ever has, not to break her spirit, but to forge it into something even stronger. Stephanie White's chapter may have closed quietly, but it paved the way for something extraordinary. Her structure and foundation laid the groundwork for this next evolution. Now, under Cheryl Miller's leadership, the Fever have a chance to become more than just a team. They can become a movement. Caitlin Clark's story has always been about breaking boundaries. Pairing her with a legend who did the same decades earlier feels destined. When Cheryl Miller steps back onto that sideline, the sound inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse won't just be applause, it'll be history coming full circle. The Fever aren't just chasing wins anymore. They're chasing legacy. And for fans, this is the dawn of something unforgettable. The Miller-Clark era has arrived, and whether it leads to triumph or turmoil, one thing's for sure. The WNBA will never be the same again. So, what do you think? Is Cheryl Miller the right leader to guide Caitlin Clark toward greatness? Or will this bold move test the Fever's chemistry beyond repair? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you're ready for this new Indiana dynasty to rise, hit that like button, subscribe, and type Dynasty Mode to show your support.